Good afternoon and welcome to the Living Well program. You can find us here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on KATB 89.3 in Anchorage, as well as KJLP 88.9 on Palmer. You can also listen live online at katb.org. Also, we'd love to have you follow us on our Facebook page at Living Well Radio. Also, download the podcast to listen at your convenience, which is available on iTunes or YouTube. I think we've got most of the bases covered there.
I can't think of anywhere else we would be. Can you?
No, but if any of you
We're
have
trying
any
to
ideas,
expand.
let us know.
That's right.
We'd love to cover that base. Anyhow, we're excited that you've taken the time to join us today here on Living Well. We love having you be part of our conversation and just listening in. Kind of the premise of the show, really. I like to remind our listeners what is Living Well and why are we doing this. But we just love to bring topics to the table, literally, and have good conversation. And
sometimes we might have a bad conversation.
Sometimes.
No, not really. Yeah. I'm teasing.
Well, I think back to 2 years ago when we first started doing the show. Before we ever recorded our first show, Buddy and I both agreed that women kind of like eavesdropping. Mm-hmm. When you're going down that grocery aisle, you might get a piece of an interesting conversation. You kind of go around the corner and you're still listening. That's what Living Well does for women. It provides that opportunity to listen in on some good conversation. We hope.
Well, at least we have a good time.
That's right.
We think they're good conversations.
We do. If you have feedback telling us otherwise, where can they send that, Betty?
Let's see.
I don't know.
I don't know.
An email we don't check. We'll see if we can think of one. But anyhow, we are here for part 2 of our conversation that we had with Cornerstone Women's Ministry. We were so humbled and honored, again, to be invited to participate in their last event that they had called RV There Yet. Again, we love their titles. We love this group of women. They're always so good to us. But they had us there to just participate in a good conversation about tips on hospitality and things to do during the summer and how to be neighborly.
Right.
Even though we tend to kind of disengage through the summer just to have our own activities, but how to kind of bring hospitality with us because, again, if you've been listening to Living Well anytime in the last 4 weeks, this conversation's been pretty well covered, but we are to pursue hospitality. I'm just going to keep going and have a whole show right here.
Right.
How's that? This is supposed to be an intro. So.
Well, today we get to listen to Candace and Camille talk about camping hacks.
Camping hacks.
And they were so funny.
They were, and excellent, excellent tips. Mm-hmm. So,
and just so everybody knows, one of the things that they talk about making are desserts when you're camping. And I intend to try the raspberries and the marshmallows and the chocolate inside the waffle cone.
Yes.
You have to listen to get the rest of the details.
You do. And I went home and told my husband about that, and he was like, oh, yeah, got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, thank you so much for joining us this Wednesday, and we hope you enjoy the show, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
So how many of you here have been to a Second Saturday event? Oh, sweet. So for those few of you who haven't, I was going to say this part of the show, not a show. For this part of the event, this is very similar to what we do on a Second Saturday event. It's a demo or a how-to series. And so that's what we're going to be doing now. So many, many years ago, my husband asked me to go winter camping with him. Oh, Lord. And it's about as awful as it sounds. It was about 4 feet of snow in a tent.
So see, this is where, Camille's been married about a year less than me, so I'm way more mature than her in the area of marriage. Like, I've been married way longer. That's a joke because she's also a year older than me.
11 months.
But anyway, so when she was talking about this winter camping thing, I was like, listen, I had a prenuptial agreement. Do not ask me to go winter camping. I told Derek went winter camping with my dad. It was like 9,000 below zero. And they're like, we're going to go live it up in a tent and be cold together. And I was like, that's so stupid. So anyway, unlike Camille, I had the good sense to clarify before marriage. Don't ever ask me to do that, dude. Back to you.
So I did go winter camping once. And we were huddled around the fire. And I asked him, I said, so what's for dinner? And he said, well, I think there's some chips in the truck. No. And I was like, okay. So for those of you who don't know me, I don't enjoy cooking at all. If I could figure out a way to survive without eating, I would do that.
I would not.
I don't enjoy cooking, and I don't enjoy camping. In fact, one of the last times that I went camping in Valdez, we were in a tent, and a bear came into our camp. And my girlfriend was in another tent, and our husbands were gone fishing. And I'm laying there, and I just started praying. And I was like, Lord, just let it be quick. Like, if this is how I go out, just let it be fast. Or let me fall asleep. And I must have. Because the next thing I know, Tim's waking me up, and he's like, hey, did you know there was a bear in our camp? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And he's like, why didn't you scare it off? And I was like, what? Have we met? I was like, so next year rolls around, and it's our annual trip to Valdez again, because I only go camping once a year. It's like my annual, like, look, honey, I'm being outdoorsy. And so he says, hey, we're going to Valdez again. I said, oh, no. I told you last year. I'm all done. I am all done with tent camping. And he's like, oh, come on. And I said, no. And he's like, you have to go. So I stayed in a motel. I came to camp every morning. I hung out all day. Evening rolled around. I was like, see ya. So I do not like camping or cooking. My two least favorite things. So, yet, I am the camp cook. And yes, it was born out of necessity. We can't always have chips for dinner. But I have grown forward, or I have grown to look forward. Wait, is that coming out right? It doesn't feel right. I look forward to cooking for my friends. And I think because I don't necessarily like camping, cooking gives me something to do. And I've surprised them and myself with what can be done with a little preparation and a propane stove. So, Candace is going to help me demo some of the meals that I have prepared over the years and what we do in a typical day, just a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. So, the first thing we're going to do, well, we've already done it, but we're going to grab our food from our cooler. And this was the first hack that I learned, and that is putting a thermometer, not a thermostat, which I asked for at the store, a thermometer in the cooler. Because, day 3 or 4 of your camping trip, it gets a little sketchy in there. And you're wondering, is this still safe to eat? Yeah. Genius. Putting one of these in your cooler so that you know. You want it to be around 37 degrees, so you keep that in there. Also, another hack, we only have one mic.
I got you.
We call it the Britney Spears mic.
What? Whoa, you're running away.
Instead of using ice, because it melts and then it gets your food all soggy, taking a couple of water jugs and filling those with water and freezing those, placing those in your cooler instead of bags of ice. Because then once it melts, you have water that you can drink.
And you can do the same with the single-serve water bottles, too, and line them across the bottom of your cooler frozen. And then they eventually thaw, but your stuff is staying cool, and you have bottles of water available.
Because the more full your cooler is, the colder your food's going to stay. So, now, before we start handling our food, though, we need to wash our hands. And so, all of us have our own ideas of how to rough it. And so, for some of us, hand sanitizer and a baby wipe is fine. And for some of us, that's not going to cut it. And so, you can make your own hand washing station. If you don't have one of these, you can use a laundry dispenser after it's empty. Take a couple of bungee cords and a paper towel dispenser, and you have your own hand washing station.
Tra-la.
You can use hand soap. My husband is notorious for taking all of the little free things from a hotel. Shampoo. My husband shaves his head. He has no hair. He comes home from trips. He works in Juneau a lot. We have so many bottles of shampoo. So you can always take all the little bars of soap from hotels. Those are great from camping. The other thing you can do, if you want to grab that little mason jar, is you can take a bar of soap and use a vegetable peeler, and you can peel off little leaves of soap.
They're like soap potato chips, but don't eat them.
But that way you're not having to get the whole bar, grimy, or if you drop it in the dirt. Yeah, that's the stuff you got us for Christmas.
I did a great job.
You did do a good job. So those are just different ways that you can wash your hands. Obviously, there's hand sanitizer. But sometimes, like when you're making s'mores, like sometimes you just need something a little bit more. And so having a hand washing station is good. For those people who don't have like an RV or a camper where you don't have possibly running water. So the first thing that we're going to make, also I want to say too, this is a camp oven that you can get at Costco. And it has been a life changer for me with camping. It has opened up a whole new world. So I want to say this. If you have a group of friends that you always camp with and you're like, I don't need a camp oven, maybe necessarily myself, you could go in with a group of friends. Because it's a couple $100s at Costco, but they're really worth the investment. I know we've done that with other things like vacuum sealers, when we have friends that we always do activities with. But all of these things that I'm going to show you, you don't have to have the camp oven, but I'm going to be using that today. So the first thing that we're going to make are called Pancake Bites, and you can make them in the oven, or you can just make pancakes on a griddle on a stove. So the first thing that we're going to do is I always pre-make my pancake mix because I don't want to be mixing it up when I'm out camping. And so you can take an old condiment bottle.
Just tell them what that says, because that's funny.
It says not ranch, because that's happened before. So I pre-mix my pancake mix, and I guess I should also, before I talk about making that, direct you over to our pantry. This is an over-the-door shoe organizer, and it fits perfectly on like an RV door, camper door, but you can also just hang it up while you're camping, because when you're camping, you're very limited on table space. You're lucky if you have one table, and so having a space where you can, or having a place where you can free up space, these work great. You can put your spices in them, anything that you would use for cooking. You can just roll it up and then hang it somewhere that's convenient.
And this is one of the things we do camping. When your kids are in kindergarten, they always make you buy a crate, and then after you use the crate for kindergarten, you're like, well, what do I do with a crate? So then I accumulated a couple of them because I got 2 kids, and then I started falling in love with them. So they're handy because, excuse the display, you can carry stuff in them, but then they have these little interlocking pieces, and then they become little shelves in your camp kitchen. So like all your paper plates and napkins and chips and junk can be in here. And if you need to quick put it away so we're not feeding bears at night, they're already in a little carrying case. So these are really handy too. Plus they stack this way in your car when you're packing, because you're like, oh, my stuff is always getting smashed. So these little handy dandy crates are a nice little something to have in your camp kitchen. Back to you.
So I love these disposable tins that you can buy at any of the stores. So you just spray those. And then you fill them about halfway.
Not ranch. Halfway.
Oh.
Oh, totally. Or I could go like this. What? Oh, okay. I'm going to move those crates right now.
The other reason that I took over cooking as well is because my husband and I are gluten and dairy free, and so that's also probably why I cook this way. It may be a little extreme for some people while they're camping, but over the years I have taken over the camping or the cooking for our entire crew. So now I just buy all the groceries, I prepare all of the meals, and so if there's 8 of us or 10 of us, that's who I'm cooking for. And then they just split the grocery bill at the end of the trip. And most people don't realize that it's gluten and dairy free because you actually can cook pretty decently with those ingredients. It just takes a little bit more preparation. So then I always put something in the Pancake Bites. I do a sweet and a savory. So I usually put sausage. I think there's a picture. Yeah, that's moose burger. But for the kiddos, we might do chocolate chips or blueberries is the other one that we will do.
Like this. It's very easy.
It's super easy. And usually while this is being prepared, I'll have a kettle of water going. And while that's boiling, that is in preparation for the hash browns that I'm going to be making. I love those little dehydrated hash browns.
They also sell a giant carton of them at Costco if you need those.
You put boiling water in those and you soak them for about 12 minutes. And then while these are baking, you can fry up your potatoes on top of the oven. And then those just go inside the oven.
And through the magic of television, oh, my hand is so hot. It's on fire, it's on fire, it's on fire. I'm just kidding. It's not hot, you guys. Look how cute.
And that is a pancake bite.
And then you pop them out of here and fork them down. Here, let me take a blueberry. Look how cute. You could even put a little syrup or dip in syrup. Can I have some?
You can have some of those. So then you can just make them on a griddle if you don't have an oven, obviously. And a little trick there is right before you have you pour out your premix, if you add a little bit of seltzer water or tonic water, it'll make your flapjacks fluffier. All right, so the next thing that we're going to make for lunch are walking tacos. And so we take a bag of Doritos. You can also use Fritos. Doritos are her love language. And you open them a little bit, but then you crunch them up.
I should have ate one whole before I crushed them all.
And then I will lay out for them a taco bar condiment table. And then they literally will go through and they will add whatever they want to add to it, like they were fixing their own taco. So I will usually have salsa, tomato, lettuce, cheese, sour cream. So for people who want to be dairy-free, they don't have to put in any of the cheese or the sour cream. And you literally dump it into the chip bag. And so I will brown my meat prior to the trip. So for every meal that I know...
This would probably be a gallon-sized Ziploc bag.
Correct. And I will put on a Sharpie what meal it's for, and then I freeze them. So again, they go into the cooler frozen, and then I pull them out as I need them for whichever meal. And then I will just heat them up on a pan. I will just heat them up, and then I just lay out a taco bar for them. And that's really like the easiest thing that you can do, and that is a walking taco. So then another one that is like super easy. She found a whole-ish one. So then the last thing we make, and this one also couldn't be hardly any easier, is we take a piece of tin foil.
About that size.
And again, a lot of this is preparation before the trip. I will pre-cut, in this case, kielbasa sauce.
Kielbasa.
Yeah, sausage. And my veggies. Again, I keep my vegetables separate. That way people can choose what they want. My husband in particular is quite picky. But I would have like mushrooms, onions. In this case, I have zucchini and squash. And then I would also let them season it however they want to season it.
And butter.
Lots of butter. And then you just wrap it up in tin foil and you put this one in the fire.
If you let your fire burn and then you get your hot coals down there and then put them down there, once they've sizzled it usually takes about, I think it's like 15 minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Everything gets all yum and you can just eat it right out of there. We always take shredded cheese and put it on ours too, but if you're dairy free, you don't have to do that. Delicious.
So the big trick, I think, to eating well when you're camping is just the preparation. It usually takes me a day. I'll do it the day before we go. That's grocery shopping and then meal planning and then preparing all of the food, either mixing it, cutting it, bagging it up. But it makes it so easy when I'm there, and we eat well. And so when you have restrictions, it's a really great way to camp.
We also talked about another handy thing with like doing your meats ahead of time is that way you're working with cooked meats. So since we don't, like we're getting our dishes cleaner, not necessarily like sterilized, it's just better that we're working with cooked meats instead of all the raw stuff. And easier. And
you can also use bacon bits, like for those pancake bites. Something else that I like to make in the tins is like an egg cup. So instead of putting in the condiment bottle pancake mix, I'll put scrambled eggs. And then you pour in eggs, and then I might put in cheese for the people who like cheese, but you can also put in bacon bits. And so then now you just have a little muffin that's scrambled eggs. Mm-hmm. And so you're not having to cook any meat that way. But speaking of doing dishes, or you can put up sausage. But speaking of doing dishes, so something we like to take that's also dual purpose if you don't have a crate. So you can get these at like Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop. So what they're used for is for people who process their own game meat. So I don't know what department that is.
And Anchorage Restaurant Supply has them too.
Yeah. So that's where they're found. But you can load all of your dry goods in this, and then when you get to where you are camping, you can wash your dishes in it. So you just put a little bit of water, and like we said, we're getting things cleaner. So then once you get things cleaned and then you rinse it off, a really great way to dry your dishes, because again, we're lacking a lot of table space, is we just throw everything. These are a laundry bag. Just throw all your dishes in a laundry bag and then hang it from a tree or a pole or whatever you have handy, the awning of your RV, and you just let them drip dry. So then when it comes to dessert time, we're not going to actually make one, but we're just going to...
Because we weren't allowed to have fire.
But you guys can eat your marshmallows if you want. So when it comes to s'mores, we're all familiar with the traditional way of making a s'more: graham cracker, marshmallow, and chocolate. And so, of course, we always make them that way, but I wanted to try something new. And so a couple of things that we've tried over the years is we have tried making s'mores in a waffle cone. And so we have taken a waffle... I don't know what pictures are there. Okay.
Slide up there?
Yeah, there will be.
Oh.
But, so this has been the most popular one, is strawberries dipped in marshmallow fluff. And then we roast it. And it's a healthier version of a s'more. I'm not going to say it's healthy, but it is healthier. But people love this. And so, go to Costco, you get a ton of strawberries, cut the ends off them. I pre-wash them so they're ready to go. And then literally you just dip them in some marshmallow fluff and you would roast them just like you would. But the coolness of the strawberry, and then you've got that warm, toasty marshmallow. But anyway, so you can also put your ingredients in a waffle cone. And they do make gluten-free waffle cones. But I get the mini marshmallows, and then you can put chocolate chips and what other flavorings you like. I like to do, how do I say this? Because I work in the coffee bar, I take my inspiration from coffees. So say, for instance, I would think of like a raspberry mocha. So one year I would try like a raspberry mocha s'more. So I would take the waffle cone and I would buy dark chocolate chips with raspberries and marshmallows. And so that's what I would put inside of it. It was just the dark chocolate chips, the raspberries, and the mini marshmallows. You wrap it in tin foil, and you put it on the edge of the fire, and it all melts together. And then usually they would eat it with like a spoon or something. So that's one way you can do it. You can do the same thing with a banana. You take a banana while it's in the peel, you cut down through the banana, but not all the way through the bottom peel. And you split it open, and probably one of the best combinations for that is mini chocolate chips, like the really tiny, tiny ones, mini marshmallows and toffee bits, and sometimes a little bit of caramel. And then we close that back up, wrap it in tin foil, do the same thing. You line it around the fire, and it all melts together. That's another great way to kind of do your take on a s'more. So those are just kind of creative ways to do s'mores. But like I said, this one is hands down probably everyone's favorite, and it's way easier. So anyway, so those are just some of the things that we've learned over the years for camping to make it fun and to make camp cooking just a little bit more enjoyable, and it sure beats a bag of chips.
I don't know about all that. No, I'm just kidding.
But now we want to do a giveaway.
Which is right up there. I'm trapped in here.
And we're going to need
We have our ticket
the
thing.
can. Did everyone get a ticket?
Leanne's getting it.
Everyone
Hey,
has a
Leanne, can you grab the roll of tickets just in case we have people that didn't get him? Did anyone not get a ticket? Raise your hand and we'll get tickets to you. The lovely Leanne is going to run those over to you. Does anybody have any favorite camping hacks that you need to yell out? Like, don't be holding your secrets. We all want to have a better experience, right? Rent an RV! There is that. There is that. Okay, everyone has a ticket now? Okay, get your tickets out and ready. Oh, snap. Oh, yeah. How about we tell you what's in the bag? Okay, there's some s'more sticks in there. I bet you didn't know that. The turquoise table book that we were talking about earlier. Some bear spray. A s'mores making kit. A cute plastic red gingham tablecloth to remember this day. A women's ministry water bottle. And a free coffee from Mission Espresso. So we just want to show you a little love. And the winner is... Drum roll, please. Oh, my word. I love numbers. 3, 2, 1. I think we're all on the team. 3, 2, 1. Oh, you're done. Erica's done. Okay, 3, 2, 1. 9, 8, 7. 3, 2, 1, 9, 8, 7. Right here in the front. Congratulations to you. There's your camping bag. And last but certainly not least.
So how many of you were at our last event, Daughters of the King? Okay, so great, a good number of you. So towards the end of our evening together, we had a moment where we had Brad pray over us, the women of Cornerstone, and then we spent some time individually praying and asking the Lord to reveal lies that we were believing and to reveal areas of our life where the enemy has been working, and to show us lies that we've just been believing for far too long. And finally, we asked you ladies to write those lies on a piece of paper and to bring them here to the front. And now, when we were initially planning this event, we had envisioned something dramatic, like dropping them into a big fire.
Again, we got shut down with the fire.
Yeah, we really are obsessed with fire, and they just keep telling us no. They said fire codes being what they are, it wasn't possible. But we kept them. We kept the lies, knowing that we were going to do something with them. And while we were planning this event, God revealed to us what that something was going to be.
And so, Camille's going to be showing you what these are. So down here in this cooler, you can see these cute little, they almost remind me of those things you see in Europe, the crackers that they do at New Year's or whatever when you pull them. They are not. These are fire starters. And so we found a cute little do-it-yourself fire starter. So what you will see when you get these, you don't need to unwrap them because we're going to show you what's in them. But it's like a little part of a paper towel or toilet paper roll, some dryer lint, some paper shreds, and most importantly, a lie that a lady is believing about herself, that she has given over to the Lord so that he can refine her with the refiner's fire and stop believing that about herself. And so whether you were at that event or not, we want this to be symbolic of maybe a lie that you're believing about yourself, that you have given over to the Lord and put in the refiner's fire, that he has burned away, never for you to believe again. And so in addition to your cute little marshmallows today, we would like you guys to grab a couple of these and take them with you. If you go camping, chuck them in the fire. If you burn a fire at home, chuck them in the fire. But to remind yourself, okay, Lord, what have I been believing? Or if there's not something, you've addressed it, pray for the woman whose lie that you're putting in the fire for her. And I was telling Camille, I was like, whoa, how appropriate that song. Have you heard that song, Fear is a Liar? I love that song. But that's what we want you guys to think of when you do this. And you can go home and make your own. Write down lies that you have believed about yourself that the enemy has whispered to you for far too long. Write it down, give it to him, and be done. Cast it in the fire because fear is a liar. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close in a word of prayer, and then you guys are free to go. Okay? Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this time together. Thank you for making us women and for giving us hearts that are after your own heart, Lord. We pray that you will give us a desire to be in community with the people that are around us, that we will be gracious hosts, that we will be hospitable, and that we will look for opportunities to be your hands and feet to the people that are right next door. We pray that you'll be with each of these women as they go into our beautiful Alaskan summers. God, bless their time with their family, with their friends. Let them see your hands in all the things that they're surrounded by, the beauty of our great state. And most importantly, we just pray that this reminder, these fire starters that we've got here, God, that they will be a huge reminder of the work that you've already been doing in their lives as the refiner's fire refines us, God. That they'll just be reminded that those lies from the enemy are in fact lies, and that they are your daughters and they are worthy of all the good things that you have for them. We thank you for your love and for your graciousness and goodness to us, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Grace and peace. Love y'all.
Thank you for listening. You can find us on Facebook at Living Well Radio. Also, visit our website, akchristianwomensministry.com.